Hello, in this video I'm going to show you some stretching and mobilising moves for the lower back and the outer hips. So if you struggle with stiffness or tightness in those areas or mild discomfort, the stretches I'm going to show in this video should be beneficial, should help you improve that situation. Of course, these videos are not intended to be a substitute for clinical assessment by a professional, but in the current situation, of course, this hopefully is the next best thing. When you follow this video, do what you can. The sensation of the stretches should be comfortable or upper end comfortable. They shouldn't actually be painful. If there's any pain involved at all, just ease back from the move or perhaps skip that one and move on to the next one. The video is done in a style that hopefully I'm doing the number of repetitions and the holds of each exercises that are appropriate. But if you feel something feels particularly good, perhaps do more of it, do more repetitions. Something doesn't feel quite so good, don't do it, don't do so much of it. So just pick and mix a little bit, but hopefully it does flow as quite a nice video of stretches and release techniques. There'll be some sitting on a chair, some standing, some kneeling and some lying on the mat. So you'll need a bit of space around you to do all of that, and just follow the sequence through and see how you get on. Okay, see you soon.
So the first stretch we're going to do sitting on a chair is a forward bend. Tuck the chin to the chest, slide the hands down the shins, bringing the hands as close to the feet as you can. Notice the head has gone between the knees, putting a nice curvature in the spine, which hopefully you feel towards the base of the spine. To come out of this stretch, we never fire the muscles we've just stretched. So place the hands on the thighs, push up through the arms, coming back to upright. We're going to do this a few times. Let me give you a sideways view of that stretch. There we are, curving forward, sliding the hands down towards the feet, putting that curvature into the spine. Hold for a few seconds, enjoying the curve. Remember, do put the hands on the thighs and push up through the arms when you come out of this stretch, rather than using the back muscles to lift you out of the stretch. We'll do this a few more times. Sliding the hands down the shins again, keeping the head tucked into the chest. Just do this a few times. It's an inversion, so if you feel lightheaded or dizzy when you come out of the stretch, then just stop doing that one and move on to the next stretch. But it is a nice curve. It's very nice because it keeps the pelvis fixed onto the chair, so therefore the stretch that you get is mostly through the spine rather than through the hips. So there was a wasp in the room at the time when I was doing this, so that was me just looking to see where it had gone. Now I'm doing a variation of the stretch where I've gone down into the bend and actually then take the head, in this case, to the right hand side, putting the focus of the stretch onto the left side of my spine. Come back to centre with the hands, then put the hands back on the thighs and then push back up to the start position. We'll do this again, but taking it to the other direction. So there's me curving the spine down, sliding the hands. This is the last time I'm going to do that forward bend. Now taking the upper body to the left side, which puts the focus of the stretch onto the right side. Once you've held that for a few seconds, we're going to then walk the hands back to the center position and then put the hands on the thighs and then push through the arms, coming back up to the start position. Okay, so now I'm going to sit back into the chair and do alternating hugs of the knees in. So a little squeeze of the shin, bringing the knee in. Notice a very short hold, alternating. There's a side view so you can see him using the back of the chair to support the back. Alternating those legs, probably about half a dozen, I didn't count how many there were. But what you may well find as you do this is that actually the range that you can hug in becomes more with each repetition. You can see my knees are going higher now by the end of that sequence compared to the start. Now I'm doing a side bend stretch. I took one hand under the chair, I've got my left arm reaching over to the right side to stretch the left side of the body, keeping the bum well seated into the chair while I do that side bend. Hold it for a little while, getting a good length and stretch. Then we go the other way, so I tuck the left hand under the chair, reach the right arm up and then side bend, this time over to the left side to get that stretch on the right side. It stretches the muscle group primarily between the base of the ribs and the hips, although a little bit maybe coming up towards the arm as well. We'll do that again each way, so that's the right arm tucked under, the left arm reaching over and across to the right side, thereby stretching the left side of the body. Do that one more time the other way. So left hand tucked under, right arm reaching over to the left side just to stretch and open up on that right side of the body. Now I'm going to make this into a rotation. So I tuck my hands out of the way, rotate the upper body round to the right. The beauty of doing rotation like this is because I'm sitting on the pelvis, you can't actually turn the pelvis, or it's rather more difficult. Hold for a few seconds, come back to center, and then let's turn the other way. trying not to have the knees move in the opposite direction. Again, I'm still sitting forward of the chair, or rather the back of the chair, so I've got room to move on the chair. Let's do that again. So rotating over to the right hand side. You can feel this on either side. Principally, of course, you should feel it on the left side, but you might feel this on a little bit on both sides. And let's do another turn over to the left side. And then once you've done that, we will come back to centre. Now I'm going to just stretch for the outer hip. So I'm going to place, to start with, I'm going to place the right heel on the left knee. Notice I'm anchoring the leg with the right and left hand on the knee and the ankle, and pushing gently down on the right knee and hinging forward until I get a good stretch in the outer hip. There's a sideways view on the right hand side. You might not need to hinge forward very far if you're very stiff. You might not need to go very far at all. It might be a struggle to get the leg even onto the other leg, onto the other knee. Come back up once you've held that. Let's swap it over. So let's have now the left heel on the right knee, supporting the leg in the same way. If you stiffen the hip, you might not need to go any further forward, but there's me hinging forward. This is my stiffer hip, so I didn't go quite as far, and I'm pushing gently down with my left hand. There's the sideways view, just to give you the bend forward action of the spine. And then once you've held that for a few seconds, or a few more seconds, we're going to come out of the position, let go of the leg, bring the feet. Let's do it again each side. So I'm going to put the right heel on the left knee, use both hands to support, hinging as far forward as I need to go to get the stretch on the outer hip. Holding it for a few more seconds. And then we'll release, and now we'll do the final time the other way. So that's the left heel on the right knee, supporting again the leg with the both hands on the knee and the ankle, sitting forward as sufficiently far as I need to get a good stretch now in the outer hip on the left hand side. I'm now going to turn this into pelvic tilt. So I'm going to sit forward on the chair and just rolling on my sits bones, I'm just going to scoop the tummy and then lengthen the spine up. It's almost like in slow motion somebody's about to punch me in the stomach and I'm bracing the tummy away from that fist that's coming towards me. Here's going to be a sideways view of that, so you can get a good sense of the movement of that. So there's me rolling on the sits bones on the chair, alternating. It's a pelvic tilt which alternates between scooping the tummy and lengthening the spine. A very nice mobiliser of the lower back and the pelvic area. Just do a few more of those. Notice my hands are resting on my knees to give me a bit of support there, and it's a nice, smooth, gentle action with the pelvis, just getting a nice bit of movement into the lumbar spine. Okay, we're now doing a standing stretch. I'm going to use the chair of support, hold it with the left hand, slide the right foot behind the left foot, try and get a good separation between the 2 feet, raise the right arm, and then side bend the upper body to the left side, and this just opens up the rib and the hip area on that upper right side. After a little while, you might find you can go a little bit deeper into the stretch. So it's called the ballerina stretch. We're going to turn and now do it the other way. So I'm going to turn and face the camera using now the right hand on the chair to hold me. The left foot goes behind the right, get a good separation between the feet. The left arm then now reaches over as I side bend to the right, which in its turn opens up the waist and hip on the left hand side. Again, we're going to hold for a few seconds. And come out of the stretch. We'll do it once more each way. So I'm going to turn around again, grab the chair with the left hand, tuck the right foot behind the left, get a good separation. You can see the hole in my sock there. Raise the right arm, side bend over to the left to get that opening up of the hip on the right hand side. And again, it might go a little deeper into the stretch once you've held for a few seconds. And swap round. So we can do it again, side bending the left. So the left foot tucks behind the right. The left arm raises up, side bend over to the right, opening up that waist area on the left side to get the ballerina stretch on that side. Okay, I'm going to turn the chair around now so that the seat faces towards me, and this allows us to do a stretch at the front of the hip. So I'm going to stand now, I'm going to put my right foot on the chair and then grab the back of the chair, take a good stride back with the left leg, and what you see is I bent both knees to try and get the front of the left thigh as close to the seat of the chair as I can, keeping the spine tall. I then raise the left arm and then side bent over to the right, just to really focus on opening up the front of that left hip. This is a good alternative to the kneeling stretch. I'm going to show that in the next bit of the sequence, and if kneeling is problematical to you, this is a good alternative. There are the left foot's going on the chair, presenting therefore the front of the right thigh to the edge of the seat. I'll then raise the right arm and side bend to the left. You get a better view of the side bend this way on, and it's really focusing on opening up the front of the hip on that right hand side in this case. As with all the other stretches, we're going to do it twice. So let me just swap the legs again, putting the right foot on the chair, stepping back with the left foot, bending the left knee in particular to present the front of the thigh to the chair, reach the left arm up and then side bend over to the right. Notice that you can really see that's opening the front of the hip there on the left hand side. And changing again. Final time with this stretch, left foot on the chair, step back with the right foot, bend the right knee to present the front of the right thigh to the seat of the chair, right arm up and side bend to the left, opening the front of the hip on that right side. So that's the front of hip stretch. And then we're going to come out of that stretch. I'm going to change now to being on a step. You could do this on your stairs at home. Put the right heel on a step and I'm going to do a hamstring stretch, which is the back of the thigh. Notice I've just sort of leant forward from the hip, put my weight, put both hands on the left thigh to give me a stretch on the underside of the right leg. In this case, I can have the right knee a little bit bent if I need to. If I'm quite tight in the hamstring. But hamstring is quite important for the back because if it's tight it will pull on the back. Let's do the same with the other leg. So this is now the left heel going onto the step, sitting the bum backwards, bending forwards. I've put my weight, or rather put both hands on the right thigh. You can't quite see that because my left thigh is in the way, but you're getting a stretch on the underside of that left leg. We're now going to do a variation for the second round of that. Let me just do a variation. So I'm going to go back to the right heel being on the step, but I'm going to do it with the knee bent, sufficiently bent so I can grab the toes, and then I sit back, allowing me to lengthen the right knee, and then I pull the toes up. I use the right hand to pull the toes up. That's stretching the underside of the leg and probably also now getting into the calf as well as the hamstring on that side. So that's a nice variation of the hamstring stretch, making it more general for the underside of the whole leg. I'm going to obviously do that on the other side. So the left heel then goes on the step, knee bent sufficiently so that I can grab the toes. Then I sit back, allowing the left knee to straighten, then pulling the toes with the left hand. That brings in the stretch of the calf as well. Hold it there, getting the good stretch of the underside of that left leg. And once we've done that, we'll gently then release the foot and come up to the standing position. I'm going to do a mobilising move. I'm using something to hold on to, and then with my left leg I'm going to alternate between the knee coming up and the leg extending behind. It's a good mobiliser of the hip. Notice my upper body is swinging forward. Notice I'm holding onto the bookcase there, so I've got good balance. I don't want to be wobbling around with this move. A nice natural rhythm, forwards and backwards with the knee and the leg, like that. Just a great mobiliser of the hip and the knee, of course, and a little bit in the lumbar spine as well. So it's a great swinging type motion. I'm then going to turn around and do the same thing with the right leg, just being careful what's around you, that you're not going to kick anything. And again, I'm holding onto the bookcase to get a nice natural rhythm there. That's good. Nice little bit of movement there, and well done. That's that one. Okay, so now we're going to come to what we call the semi-kneeling position on the floor. This is a variation of one thing that we've already done on the chair. So I'm going to take the right foot forward with the load on the left knee, and this is why the chair variation might be better for you if you can't load through the knee. You've got a good long stride between the right foot and the left knee, and then I just lunge forward but keeping my spine upright, opening the front of the left hip. If I wanted to make it more, I've got good balance. I can raise the left arm and then slightly side bend over to the right side. That just gets even more into the hip. And that's a very good equivalent of that stretch we did in the standing position, putting the foot on the chair. Let's do it the other way around. So now the left foot is coming in front. Good long stride between the knee and the hip. Knee and the foot rather. Then lunge forward, keeping the hip open, keeping the spine upright. right arm comes up with the side bend over to the left to open up that right hand side, getting that stretch on the front of the right hip. I'm going to do it again on each side, so the right foot comes forward, good long stride between the foot and the knee, keep the spine upright, and then lunge the hip forward, opening up, and this time, in this case, in the front of the left hip, with the spine nice and lengthened. Left arm lifts up, and I do the side bend over to the right. Remember, if the balance isn't great, you don't have to do that side bend. It does add more to the stretch, but I'd rather you were stable rather than wobbling around too much while trying to do the stretch. Swapping it round again, left foot in front, weight on the right knee behind you, keep the spine upright, lunge the weight forward, and then raise the right arm, and then side bend to the left, opening the front of the hip there. And then once you've held that, come out of the position. I'm going to take this now into a cat stretch, so I'm going to come down to the all fours position on the mat. And then from all fours, I'm going to arch the back. I'm going to tuck the chin under the body and the pubic bone. It's almost like the chin's trying to meet the pubic bone, giving it a nice arch through the spine. Hold for a few seconds and then just release it. I don't overly curve the other way. I flatten the back. Let's go again. Tuck the chin under, tuck the pubic bone under, getting a nice curve of the spine there. Once I've held it for a few seconds, release that. I'm then going to take that to a prayer position or a child's pose. So the bum has come down towards the heels. I might even be able to push the bottom a bit closer towards the heels with the forearms rested to the floor to give a nice curve through the spine, holding it for a little while. And then very gently, once you've held that, we're going to come back to the all fours position. The final set of the stretches we're going to do are lying on the back. Get yourself comfortable, knees bent, feet flat on the floor. Bring the feet touching and the knees touching, and then drop both knees over to the right side. Notice I move my left arm a little way out to the left, just to help focus that stretch. Hold it there for a few seconds. And then once you've done that, gently roll. Don't shuffle the bum on the way through, just let you roll to the other side with the right foot stacked on top of the left. I'll move the right arm a little out to the side there. Just to again help with the stretch. This time, of course, it's in the right hip when we stretch. Then we come back to center, then with a tennis ball. So I'm going to have a tennis ball, and I'm going to place the tennis ball under the back pocket area of the right hip. You'll see it better when I do the left, but it's gone into the back pocket area of my trousers. And then turn the knees to the right, and effectively what I'm doing is putting the weight into the tennis ball on that side. Allow the bottom muscles to relax, allow the ball to sink in very gradually. So use a bit of breathing, allow the muscles to relax, allow more pressure onto the ball as those muscles get used to it. It's a good one of releasing the deep external rotators of the hip, which can get very tight in lower back stiffness. Taking the ball out, now do the same on this side. This is the side you'll see, so it's gone in the back pocket area of the left hip. I then bring the knees over to the left, putting weight into the tennis ball. Again, once I've gone over, I then just relax the muscles. I'm just using my breathing just to ease into the tennis ball, allow the muscles to just relax and soften, and just get that relaxation into the outer hip, allowing the muscles to relax more as the ball goes in. Then come back to center. I'm now then going to emulate one of the exercises we did in the seated position, and that's the alternated knee hug in. So just a little tug of each knee, the hands come up, just hug the knee in, alternating each leg. Notice it's not a long hold, it's just a brief hold of each leg. But what I am focusing on is as I progress through this, the knees gradually start coming further and further up. So it's a gradual increase in range. I'm not suddenly tugging the range to be more than it was when I started, but gradually it does improve. So just doing a few more of those, alternating the knee hug-ins, just mobilizing the back. And then we're going to finish with pelvic tilts. We did these in the seated position. So with the seated position, there's a little space between the lower back of the mat, which is your natural curvature. And what I'm doing, I'm just alternately pushing the lower back into the mat, and then releasing that. What I'm going to do is place my hands on the pelvis, so you can see the pelvis tilts upwards, or the pubic bone tilts upwards, and the pelvis levels. When the pubic bone tilts upwards, I push the back into the mat. And when the pelvis levels, I get that little space between the lower back and the mat. That's a great way of just mobilizing those lower back vertebrae. It's only a small roll. I'm not causing any movement to the head, neck and shoulders, just scooping the tummy muscles, alternately having that space between the lower back and the mat and taking that space away. we've finished with the pelvic tilts, I'm very gently going to come up to a seated position. I'm going to just bring the head between the knees, tucking the arms under the thighs. And then to get perhaps a little bit more in there, what I'm going to do is put the points of the elbows in the palms of the hands, giving a nice stretch of the upper back. Once I've held that, I'm then just going to gently release, and that is the end of the sequence.